Hi, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Marilyn Bruce. I am a Ghanaian-based menswear fashion designer, and I do share sewing tutorials here. So if you're interested, kindly subscribe to my channel and don't forget to hit the notification bell so you are notified anytime I post a new video. Without much further ado, let's get straight into today's tutorial. We are going to be learning how to make this beautiful peplum arc. So if you want to know how I came about this, kindly stay tuned. In order for you to achieve or draft your peplum arc, you need a bodice or a top, just like I have mine here. So mine is going to be a corset top, and as you can see, I haven't boned it yet. Because I'll be trimming off the sides in order for me to fix the arc. Okay, that's why I haven't boned it yet. So when I get the measurement and I trim off the sides, then I can go ahead and then bone all the parts that needs to be boned. So I'm just eyeballing where I'm going to be trimming off before I go ahead and then take the real measurements that I need. So first off, you're going to measure your dart measurement, your nipple to nipple measurement. So mine is 8, and then the midpoint of that is going to be 4. So I went ahead and then I marked the 4, and what I'm doing next is I'm taking 1 inch from each side. Okay, so after I'm done with that, I move on to the back and I'm going to repeat the same thing. However, the measurements for the front is not going to be the same. This is because the back is going to have the eyelet. So if I take 1 inch from both sides, I wouldn't get any allowance to fix my eyelet. So with the back, I'm taking 2 inches instead of the 1 inch for the front. So after I'm done, I'm just going to move on to the side and then take the measurements for my peplum arc. So here what I'm doing is I'm just trying to see how long I want the height of the peplum arc to be. So you can just measure the midpoint of the dress, or you can just go ahead and then mark the waist. So mine was 6 inches from the hem. Okay, so whatever measurement you get, you can use that and then you're good to go. So after, I'm just marking the point from the center front, and then I'm just going to join that to the back. So as you can see, that's exactly what I've done. So basically the arc is going to start from wherever you want it to be, depending on the design that you are looking for. But mine starts from the waistline. So you're going to measure where your waistline is, and then that is where you are going to be trimming off. So mine, I got 6 inches from the hem. So I'm going to be doing the same thing to the other side, because you want everything to be symmetrical before you cut. After marking all your lines, you have to cross-check again to see if everything is looking equal, if they are the same, before you go ahead and then do anything else. So next off, what I'm doing is I'm just measuring from the center front towards the center back, the arc that I drew, to get the measurements so I can draft that on paper to get my arc. So what I got here is 22. 22 divided into 2 is going to be 11. You have to make sure this measurement is accurate, else by the time you are done drafting your arc, it's either your arc is going to be shorter than the space you have to fix it, or it's going to be longer than that. You don't want that to happen. So this part is very critical. You have to make sure your measurements are accurate before you take that measurement to your brown paper and draft. So with everything being said and done, if your measurements are accurate and you're sure, you can go ahead and now cut. And mind you, there's no turning back after cutting, so you have to be very sure and super sure you are confident with what you are doing before you cut, because when you cut, you can't uncut, you can't undo the cutting. Yeah, so that is what I'm doing. I'm just cutting the one side, and then I'm just cutting the other side. So mind you, you're not going to be cutting on that line, that pencil mark. You need to leave allowance, your sewing allowance, that you're going to be attaching it to the peplum arc. I hope that makes sense. So you should have something like this after you are done, and then you're good to go to move to the next stage. Yeah. With the brown paper being set, you're going to be looking for the midpoint of your brown paper. The length of my brown paper is 30, so the midpoint is 15. So I'm just marking that down, and I'm going to be ruling a straight line. This is just for me to get the middle part of the brown paper, so it's not any standard measurements. Okay, so what I'm just writing now is the length, which is 22, and then the height of the arc, which is going to be 9. Okay, so I've divided this into 2 because I'm going to be working with the front and then the back of the arc. So what I just measured now is the height, which is 9, and then when you divide 22 into 2, you're going to get 11. So I'm just going to be sharing that across the front and then the back. Okay, I hope it makes sense. So after you are done, you're just going to be joining the lines together. So here I realized my pattern master wasn't giving me the accurate line, so what I did was just to do a freehand sketch, and then I'm just going to blend that down later. So you can do that as well, so you can get a very nice curvy line. Yes. So here I'm just using my hip curve to define the lines here so that I can have the right shape that I want. So here you have it, guys. This is the end of the drafting. It's very simple, very straightforward, nothing confusing. It's just simple, like I said. So after you're done, you're just going to be cutting out your shape or your pattern, and then you're going to be transferring this onto your fabric. Then we move on from there. Next, this part is optional, but I chose to do it to show you guys. I'm just marking down where my channels are going to be, my boning channels, and the space in between is 2 inches. I left 2 inches for the spacing. Okay, you can leave 1, you can leave 1.5, whatever you want or how you want your arc to form is how you're going to space it. Okay, so the more the bone, the more the arc is going to form well. Okay, I'm going to be doing this on the fabric as well, so you can just go ahead and do it straight on the fabric. No need to do it on the brown paper before transferring it on the fabric again. Setting my fabric to be cut, but first off I'm just pressing down to get rid of any creases. Guys, ironing is very important in any sewing project. 50% of a good garment turnout depends on how often you iron when you're making the garment. Okay, so you always have to make sure you iron in between, and you're going to have a very perfect, a good looking outfit. After cutting on the main fashion fabric, you also cut a lining piece as well. After you are done, you're going to infuse this interface on it, okay, on both the fashion fabric and then the lining. Okay, so you can go ahead and use any interface of your choice. The interface just helps to give your peplum arc a more defined and a nice structure aside using your bone. Okay, so whatever you do, you just have to make sure you interface both the lining and then the fashion fabric. So after, I'm just going to be transferring the markings that I made on the brown paper here. Okay, so these markings, like I said before, are just going to be where I'm going to be stitching my bone. Okay, so on this project, I'm going to be using the stitchable bone, and the stitchable bone is going to be stitched on the lining, not the main fashion fabric. So I'm ruling out these lines on the lining. Okay. After you're done, you can now take it to your sewing machine and then stitch your bone on it. Even without the bone, it's already looking so fabulous and nice. Here we just took measurements of the various lines and then we cut the bone and set them aside. So when it was time for stitching, we just went ahead and stitched everything straightforward. You can do this as well if you want, or you can just go ahead and then cut the bone sew as you move. We just thought this method was easier because when you cut the bone and set them aside, when you start stitching, there's no stopping. You just continue stitching till you are done. Okay, so it's not really compulsory. You just do what you think it's good for you or what you feel it's easier. Also, if you noticed, there is allowance on the upper part of the arc and then the hem. Okay, so you can leave up to 1 inch. Okay, so you can either leave half or 1 to be on the safer side. So this will enable you join your peplum to the main bodies. Okay, and then also help you finish the hem part of the peplum arc. Okay, so always remember to leave that allowance. If you don't, you won't be able to join it to your main garment. After you are done with the boning, you're going to be joining the lining to the main fabric, and also you're going to be doing your finishing of the hem. So you have to be done with all your finishings before you can join it to the main garment, which is your top. Okay, so all your finishings have to be done first. So that is what is being done here. After you're done stitching, you're going to take this to your iron, turn it inside out neatly, and then iron. Then you're going to sew another channel on the hem. Okay, so we're going to be inserting a bone through this to help the arc form more. Okay, so you're going to see how it's going to look like after we insert the bone. This is one of the main reasons why it's so advisable to leave allowance when you are stitching the bone. Okay, so you can have this space to fix your bone. You have to make sure the channel you are sewing is slightly bigger than the bone, else you're going to suffer to fix your bone in. Okay, your bone has to go through easily without any hassle. After this, you are done. Your peplum arc is ready. Since this arc is going to be 2, remember to do the same thing to the other one. Then you're ready to set this on your top, and voila, this is what you're going to have. Very pretty, very beautiful. And this brings us to the end of today's tutorial. I really hope this was helpful. You learned 1 or 2. If you have any questions, you can just leave them in the comment section below. Thank you for watching. I'm gonna see you in my next video. Don't forget to subscribe, share, and like. Bye.